getting connections with prospects, meaning they're answering their phones, communicating with you, but how do you convert those conversations into actual appointments? Let me give you some ideas that hopefully can help you out. Check it out. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today, especially in a new year. This is absolutely amazing to be able to hang out with you right now. So I want to tackle this topic, but before that, if this is your first time listening to our show, thank you for being here and welcome. I would ask that you go ahead and please share this episode with one other person and go ahead and connect with me on LinkedIn, Donald C. Kelly. Send me a direct message on LinkedIn. Don't just follow. Send me a direct message, Donald C. Kelly. I truly appreciate that. Love to connect with you. So here's the thing that I come across. I was working with a sales rep. This individual was actually getting connection. They were relentless. They were doing things that I talked about in past episodes, planning out their days, making sure they're on the calls. They're getting more at bats, so to speak. So naturally, you're having more conversation with prospects. The issue that they had, and a similar thing with others on their team, others were getting appointments, but they weren't. What it came down to was they're having conversations, but those conversations they just weren't landing properly to the prospect that they wanted to have an appointment. And there's several things that I told that individual that I want to share with you that can help you out as well. So yes, you're getting connects, but you're not getting appointments. So here's the first thing that I would say. One, the offer. You got to make sure you have the right offer. And in this case, we know that the offer was good because other team members were doing the same exact offer they were landing. So one, the offer. But let's say all things constant, you do have a great offer. We know that it's valuable. It is tailored to the prospects that you're going after. It's relevant and all of that. The second component is that you're probably not articulating that message enough. So what I told and teach these other sales reps, the same thing I'll teach you as well, is that you need to make sure that you're practicing and articulating your value. Oftentimes we're rushing through. Like, I speak fast. I know that. Ever since my days in the speech and debate and performance, I speak fast. So I try, especially in circumstances where I'm dealing with prospects, to slow down. On a podcast, I go fast sometimes, right? But on typical situations, I'm slowing down, especially I know when I get excited, even my Jamaican accent start to slip out, But I try to slow down so I can articulate and best help that prospects. And one of the easiest thing that you can do is to talk to somebody who is not in sales and tell them what you have to offer and see if it makes sense to them. So I would find maybe like an aunt or a cousin or a sibling or your spouse or a partner, your kid, somebody who would never be, who's not in your industry, and then you're explaining your offer to them. It should be so succinct that the person should understand. Now, naturally, there's some technical thing, especially if you're being relevant and focusing on a specific challenge, a technical issue. Your value may be, they should still be able to comprehend it, but you probably just would use less technical jargon. And that's precisely what I want you to do, especially as you're dealing with these prospects. Share your value, share your information in a concise, effective way that even an 8-year-old can understand what you are going to help them with. They may not necessarily know how you're going to do all of the details, but they should be able to understand that there is a problem and that you have a solution. If they can't understand that, then there's a problem with it. And that's where I found with the seller is oftentimes it was just rushing. They were nervous, so they were rushing through the conversation and didn't want to take their time to slow down because they felt like the person was going to hang up. Listen, if the value is there, if it's there, again, go back to this. In this particular situation, the team members were getting appointments. This individual wasn't. But if the value is there, if you're giving something of worth, your prospects, they're going to recognize it and they're going to listen to you. You don't have to rush and try to squeeze everything in just like a matter of a few seconds and then get kicked off the phone. You do want to make sure it's concise enough. When I was writing my book, that's one of the things that the editors used to always talk about, was being able to condense information, a lot of information, into a concise or concentrated focus. And I would encourage you to practice that. And the easiest way, again, is to practice on your team, to practice with your family members, practice with somebody that doesn't know it. In our sales mastermind, this is where we see this practice come about. Our sales mastermind is like a practice area where sales reps come together and they're able to get some guidance and get help with other sellers. They're small groups of about 12 individuals. And we would love to have you join our next mastermind. Just go to thesalesevangelist.com/mastermind. But here's what happened in those scenarios. We have individuals with people from different industries, and they're able to share their pitch or share a challenge or an objection. Others hear what they're saying and able to ask questions, not because they're not intelligent. They may not necessarily understand the industry, and they are able to ask them to articulate it in effect in a different way. And we find that they recognize that, yeah, sometimes I'm just rushing through and I'm thinking that everybody knows everything about my business, and I just need to articulate and be more effective, and it makes such a big difference. So simplify, practice it, articulate it. So that's my number two thing. And then the third component that I would tell you is that you just don't need to rush off the phone. How can you make sure you're not being pushy? Um, you're getting your point across, but you're not necessarily being overbearing. In my book, I talk about it. My book is called Sell It Like a Mango. So, I love my talking about Jamaican mango. So you can check that out and find it. Maybe you can use it for your sales kickoff. But in Sell It Like a Mango, one of the concepts that I push was, if you discover, and I know it may sound cliche, but just hear me out. If you discover the cure for cancer, there's no way under this, on this green earth, there's no way underneath beautiful skies that you're going to sit down and not tell people about it. You're going to find ways to amplify that message and get it out to the masses. If you believe in what you have to offer so much, do not give up so easily when somebody is getting ready to get off the phone. 9 times out of 10, I can tell you, when somebody say they're not interested, it's usually because they didn't listen to what you have to offer. They are busy doing something else. They are overwhelmed with another task, and they answer the phone, and you're intruding on their time. And there's no real problem with that. If I am getting ready to walk off of a cliff and somebody comes and disrupt me or intrude on my walking off the cliff and help save me, I would be very appreciative of that. I'm not saying that's the case with all of your prospects, but they're probably doing things that are probably not the most effective or most efficient, and they need someone to be able to coach or guide them. That's where you come in as that resource. So feel free to be a little persistent, be a little direct. Here's what I would do, and I've shared this method before, but I tell you just to do this. Ask them permission to ask a question. In our training, we talk about this all the time, just tough questions. Ask them permission to ask a question. So if I'm pushing against you, and it does a pattern interrupt as well, where it allows them to stop, because the most sales reps will then start throwing the kitchen sink at a prospect when they say, yeah, listen, I'm not interested. They're like, well, we can give it cheaper. We can give you a discount. This is just white noise at that point. They're trying to get off the phone with you. But what you can do a pattern interrupt, instead of you talking and telling and trying to quote unquote sell them, stop them in their tracks by asking a question, because we're programmed when somebody asks us a question to be able to respond. And especially if that person is calm and collective and they're confident, it makes a difference. It's like, why is this person so calm and collective and so confident in a situation like this? So here's what the question is. Donald, may I ask you a question? Donald, before I go, may I ask you a question? Lisa, could I ask you one question before I go? You can use any one of those variations, but be calm and be okay and just be cool with the situation. You slow down the conversation. Lisa, Lisa, before I go, is it okay if I ask you one question? You're essentially going to take whatever value prop you have and just reiterate it, because again, they probably weren't listening the first time. So bring it back, because you did research and you know, so this is a relevant issue for this individual, for this company or department. So therefore reiterate it. So essentially what I'm getting at, Lisa, so again, you go back and you say, Lisa, it's okay if I ask you a question before I go. So just to be clear, when it comes towards employment, and because of the growth and all the job posts that you guys have, you're totally fine right now with the percentage that you're getting. Or you can ask a question in that, and another question, like, so you're telling me right now you guys are totally good, but if there's a way you can get 2% better, that wouldn't be something you would willing to explore right now. That's what I'm getting at, right? Or whatever your percentage is or whatever it is. But the point is, you need to ask a question. That's one of the things you could practice with your mastermind or with your group. But get them to be able to understand one more time before you go. And I found that to be effective. You've seen this in like the TV ads on those late night infomercial back in the days. But here's one more. It's the value stack, right? They give you something else. In our case, we're not just going to throw that something else, but we are going to use that concept, by slowing down, asking them one more question before we go. Just tell them ask them that simple thing. It's okay if I ask you one more question, and just restate that value proposition. You can restate it in a different way. So you're telling me, and this is where you're being direct. So you're telling me right now, you guys I see that you guys are posting for jobs, but you're totally fine with totally fine with not getting X, or you're totally fine with, you're totally fine with where you're at right now and not open to the idea of getting 3 to 5 or 7% more. You want to give them a question that makes them think, essentially. Again, we can practice this for your industry. I was throwing one out there randomly. I am not in HR. I don't know why I do HR all the time, but that's the idea. One more question. The key there, may I ask you a question? I want you to test it out. So those are the 3 things that I would tell you that I share with this sales rep. 1, make sure the value is good, and we knew that was good. Number 2, make sure you slow it down. And then number 3, be a little bit more direct. Ask that question at the end. And if you could do that, I promise you'll get an opportunity to have more connect. And then at the end, just ask the call to action. When they respond to that question, say, here's what I'd like to do. 5 to 7 minutes. And I love that time period, because if I can't explain to you a value proposition in 5 to 7 minutes, then I have no right being a sales rep. You should be able to articulate that. And all you're trying to do at that point is to get them to just have that quick meeting with you. If they are busy at this point, get that 5 to 7 minute, send over that calendar invite, book that thing, and make it 5 to 7 minutes. Articulate your value. And usually they're going to say, you know what, I have more time. And they'll want to hear more in the next meeting. So that's what I would do, tell you to connect, to get more connects with your, to get more appointments from those connects that you're having. Those are precious. Slow it down. I would love to hear any other tips that you have, that what you're doing when it comes towards to making sure your connects turn into appointment. Send me a LinkedIn connection request, not just follow, but connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a message, Donald C. Kelly. Let me know that you're listening to the podcast. I appreciate you. Hope you're having a fantastic new year. Hope this helps you to push a few more deals down the line, and can't wait to help you to do big things this year. See you on the next one.